Well, school might be back in session, but it's still summer for another month, and that means plenty of time for fun in the sun and, of course, the sunburns that often follow. Joining us with some ways to treat those sunburns at home is Dr. Sabrina Fabi. Dr. Fabi, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you know, despite the abundance of advice to use sunblock, sometimes sunburns do happen. How can we use common household items to help treat those sunburns?
Yes, and so when your skin's already red, you've already exposed it to enough UVB or UVA to actually cause death to those skin cells. And so now you have all this blood rushing to your skin to try to decrease that injury. And so that's going to cause your skin to feel tight, swollen, and painful. If you're actually in pain, you can even take an over-the-counter anti-inflammatory like ibuprofen or Aleve. These things will decrease the pain and also decrease the inflammation at the level of the cell. But sometimes people also want to apply something cool to the skin. And so oatmeal has some anti-inflammatory properties. So if you put some oatmeal in a sock and then you dip it into cold water, you can actually apply that, and that will also decrease inflammation at the level of the skin to provide some soothing relief and make you feel more comfortable. You can also do this with some tea bags and also dip them into cold water and then apply them to the skin. The most important thing is to not actually apply ice, as that drastic change in temperature can actually be more harmful to the skin. And so these types of home remedies are a little bit better.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned ice. You know, oftentimes I've heard those old wives' tales about putting ice on or even putting butter on. What are a few things that people should avoid doing?
So those types of buttery creams actually can trap some of that heat because they're such effective moisturizers, and you don't want to trap more heat. You actually want to let some of that heat come out of the skin. And so I generally encourage patients to avoid, that would be the one time I'd avoid creams or buttery-like products and use more gels or lotions. You will still allow the skin to breathe a little bit while providing it with some level of cooling from the gel or the lotion. Also, after you've actually gotten the sunburn, you want to hydrate because all your blood vessels are dilated, and sometimes people actually feel lightheaded because they're so dehydrated from losing all this water. And so you want to also make sure you're drinking plenty of fluids.
You know, it is important too, when people get sunburned, I mean, it's sort of too late by then, isn't it? Because we've really damaged the skin at that point.
Yes, you're right. So by the time you've actually seen a salmon color develop at the level of your skin, you've already done the damage. You've already killed those cells. And if you do enough of that, we have found that if you've developed more than 5 sunburns in your lifetime, you've already doubled your risk of developing melanoma. And so you may not see the damage right away, but over time it manifests as little brown spots. These are freckles, but those freckles are actually a sign of sun damage, and it's your body trying to create a little umbrella to protect the deeper layer of your skin from more harmful UVB and UVA.
So hats, sunscreen, do all you can, stay out of it, find shade, do whatever you can, right, Dr.
Right,
Fabi?
ideally you want to protect yourself and avoid it altogether by using good SPF, ideally 30 or greater, mineral-based with titanium or zinc oxide, and even UV protective clothing is ideal. Being in the shade alone is not enough protection. You get 50% of your UVA in the shade. So if you are in the shade, that's great, but you still need to be using some protective clothing as well as sunblock, and then obviously avoiding a sunburn altogether, but now you know what to do in case it happens.
All right, Dr. Fabi, thank you so much for being here. Phil, some good information for all of us.
Thanks for having me, Maria.